everybody, this is Jenny Gatraro from Science Storytellers, and I'm also one of the new residents at the STEM Advocacy Institute. Science Storytellers is a public engagement program that I launched in 2017 at the AAAS family meeting with the support of the Borough's Welcome Fund and a small army of volunteers. In a nutshell, Science Storytellers is a program that gives kids a chance to interview scientists in the same way that professional journalists do. They ask questions, they really engage in a conversation, and at the end of their conversation/interview that they're doing together, they start to map out a story that they might tell from their conversation. And this is where STEM Advocacy Institute comes in. Since joining as a resident last fall, I've worked with Faniel to develop the idea for my residency project, which is to reboot Science Storytellers and to package it as an event that can be run by anybody once trained at events ranging from science festivals to museums to community events, faith communities, farmers markets. I'd really love to see this getting out to the public and beyond the scope of the already science interested public. So to get started with this, Faniel encouraged me to develop a logic model, which I had not heard of prior to joining STEM Advocacy Institute. And so he was very helpful in my development of that logic model in the fall, as well as a diagram that walks you through kind of a run of show and what happens at the Science Storytellers booth from the beginning of a kid's experience to the end, and also for a scientist and how they are operating at the booth. In addition to doing that, Faniel encouraged me to start thinking about places where I could run the program in just a smaller setting to start getting some new eyeballs on it and some new participants. And I have two potential venues coming up in the fall. One of them is a local after-school program. I have been in touch with them about developing Science Storytellers either as a one-time event or possibly as a multi-week program for kids to develop, for kids to interview scientists, and then in the end to develop a publication, a short magazine or something like that they could create and share with others. I'm also in talks with a neuroscientist at Harvard who works with teens, and she is very interested in bringing Science Storytellers to the youth that she works with in the city of Boston and working with her colleagues. And those conversations have just started, and I'll look forward to updating you all on that maybe in another couple of weeks or months and see where that goes.
Hi, my name is Dr. Keelana Shad Bishop. I am a California-born but currently Miami-based scientist, as well as the co-founder and executive director of STEM Noir. STEM Noir is a first-of-its-kind research and holistic wellness community for Black women or women of the African diaspora in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, often abbreviated as STEM. As an organization, since the beginning of my SAI fellowship, we've made some organizational strides, which include actually doubling the membership in our STEM Noir app, which is a custom STEM Noir specific application where our global community can connect, network, and share resources. We've adopted a new format for our year-round program, which is called Wellness Wednesday, hosted in collaboration with the Research Her, where we have invited Black women experts in various fields of scientific endeavor and wellness, spanning everything from personal well-being to finance, to present and share their knowledge with our community once a month. We have also been gearing up to meet for the first time in person for our STEM Noir annual conference. So we have had a few in-person events, our STEM Noir socials, one in Dallas, Texas, and one in Washington, D.C. But this will be the first time that as a community we're able to share space and program in person, hear about our community's research in person, present awards in person. We're very, very excited. STEM Noir 2023 is going to be held from June 22nd to 25th in San Juan, Puerto Rico. We have met 65% of our registration goal, and we have 2 months over 2 months until our event. So we're very, very excited. In collaboration with our sponsor, Ginkgo Bioworks, we have a phenomenal program. We've curated a phenomenal program with experts from academia, from industry, from business, and from the nonprofit and advocacy sector, to make sure that a wide breadth of career possibilities and professional and personal development opportunities are able to be taken advantage of by our attendees. Through the remainder of my SAI fellowship, I intend to focus my efforts on building up the STEM Noir app so that we can use it as an avenue to assess the interests of our community and funnel them to the appropriate support systems. For example, at our STEM Noir 2023 conference, we are going to be having collaboration chats, and one of our collaboration chats actually focuses on science communication and outreach. We are excited to start that conversation in person and then funnel those folks with that stated interest to a particular feature in the app where they will be able to learn about funding opportunities, collaboration opportunities, and ongoings and happenings and such and so forth that they may want to take advantage of, or they may just be curious about and come to us with questions and we can funnel them to the appropriate party.
Hi, I'm Justin Yarrow. I'm the founder of the MPO Codemakers and the creator of Super Scientists. I'll be telling you a bit about the Super Scientist project that we've been running since 2019, and then specifically the work that we propose to do with the STEM Advocacy Institute. So Super Scientists came out of work that we were doing with young people, where we were teaching creative coding, animation, a bit of robotics. And I'm a scientist by training, a PhD scientist, and so I wanted young people to better understand scientists in South Africa. And I realized that what we needed to do was to think more about the type of media that the kids that we work with already consume. And that media is really around characters. It's around the characters that they see in movies and TV and cartoons. It's the characters that they see as the heroes of entertainers and sports people. But when you think really about how STEM education is conducted, at least in South Africa, there's a big disconnection between the people that do science and the content of what's taught. You don't learn about contemporary scientists, and so they don't make that connection. And we found that this is true when we asked young people to name a scientist. They would say Albert Einstein, or they would really have no answer. So we wanted to change that. What we came up with is Super Scientists, where we're drawing scientists as real superheroes. And it's not just scientists, but also science champions. So people that are documentary filmmakers, science communicators, policy experts. We've done a few of those. We'd like to do more. So because of the success that we've had to date and the interest from a number of different countries to have Super Scientists made, we decided that we would try to launch in the US. I'm from the US, but I've been living in South Africa for more than 15 years. And we've had actually a number of teachers that have asked for our materials that are in the US, and a sizable portion of our web traffic is also from there. So that was the idea that we proposed to Fanuel, and it's coming along slowly but surely. The comic that we were making and the science exhibit that we were making had a number of delays, but we're now on firm footing to start making US-based Super Scientists, and we just reached out to a group of people that had previously expressed interest and have a few candidates already that we hope to draw. And then we're hoping that we can partner with at least one organization so that we can have a mechanism for delivery of the Super Scientists that we make, and be able to get some feedback from a STEM education organization and really, hone the project.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Melanie Peffer. I am the author of Biology Everywhere, How the Science of Life Matters to Everyday Life, and also the author of On the River, which is part of the Biology Adventurers series. It's a spinoff of Biology Everywhere. So my residency project came about because of Biology Everywhere. And so I wrote Biology Everywhere because of my observation of how many people just don't like science. They have these bad classroom experiences, they seek out the cultural stereotypes in society, and it just really turns them off. And the problem is that we all have to engage with science. It's not something that's optional. And so what I've been trying to do with Biology Everywhere for the last couple of years is to find a way to create what I call safe gateways to curiosity. So a lot of people, they won't seek out science activities or science festivals, or if they're at a big festival and there's a science table set up, they'll usually skip it because they have these negative associations with biology or with other branches of science. And so I'm trying to get people to re-engage through helping them see biology as part of their daily lives. So this relatable thing instead of this scary thing. Okay, so one of the problems I've run into over the last couple of years that forms the foundation of the project that I worked on during my residency is accessibility to Biology Everywhere content. So I'm trying to reach a population of people who does not want to be reached. And so I've been trying to brainstorm ways to increase that accessibility. So that was my goal, was to create new avenues for impact, a way to have this Biology Everywhere movement, as Vanuel likes to say. And so the two ways that I wanted to focus on doing that is make it easier for teachers to obtain teaching materials related to Biology Everywhere, information on how I teach with this Biology Everywhere philosophy or mindset. And I also want to make it easier for the general public to find my content and be able to engage with my content. I've been doing that predominantly in social media. The problem is with social media algorithms is that a lot of my content gets buried. So I needed a better solution. So the solution that I've proposed is building a new centralized website. To that end, I'll talk about the website more in a minute, and I've also continued to do outreach into the community. So during the residency period, one thing that I did to outreach and help spread the Biology Everywhere message was that I gave a webinar, an invited webinar to the American Chemical Society's 2-year chemistry consortium webinar. So that was all professors who teach chemistry at 2-year colleges. And so although it's Biology Everywhere, I spent a lot of that seminar talking about how these principles apply to chemistry. And we had a great discussion afterwards, thinking about how to make general chemistry more accessible for people as well. Another thing that I did was that I went out to the local STEM Academy. It's a K-8 school for their career day. And this was just truly an incredible experience, and one that was very eye-opening, especially when I think about the Biology Everywhere project and why to persist in it.
If you missed it, CNN recently hosted its 18th annual Heroes Tribute, celebrating individuals making a profound impact in their communities. Among the top 5 heroes of 2024 is Yamile Toussaint, founder of STEM from Dance, an organization committed to providing girls of color with the confidence and skills to pursue STEM careers through the transformative power of dance. During the broadcast, Yamile was introduced by Misty Copeland, principal dancer of American Ballet Theatre and founder of the Misty Copeland Foundation, who highlighted STEM from dance's inspiring mission. The award was then presented to Yamile by CNN's Laura Coates.
Where does that confidence-crushing voice come from? You know, the one that bellows in your head? You can't do that because you're a girl. As a high school math teacher, Yamile Toussaint heard that voice influencing her students. Yamile knew that she, a STEM-loving woman of color, was an exception. She grew up loving two things: math, because her parents worked in science and engineering, and dance. Even at MIT, she pursued them separately. But then she saw her favorite performers combine dance with precise graphics, lights, and sounds. And in 2012, she brought her passions together in Brooklyn. She founded STEM from Dance, which offers girls 8 to 18 school programs and summer camps where they can move and learn to use science, technology, engineering, and math to make their performances shine. And on center stage in 9 cities across America, step by step, Black girls and brown girls now hear those confidence-building words. You can do that.
Well, it is my honor to present CNN hero Yamile Toussaint. Wow, how incredible this is for you. Yamile, congratulations. I understand that you draw a lot of inspiration from your mom and dad, and your dad is actually here with us tonight. He must be so proud of how far you've come.
Yes, he's so proud. You know, when I think about him as a teenager coming to the US from Haiti and really establishing his life and his career as an engineer, and really also instilling this love for engineering in me and my brother. And so I think that the fact that I always thought that I could be an engineer, even though I was the girl, my brother became an engineer, but I became one too. And when I think about STEM from Dance, that's what we want to create. This idea that anyone, especially our girls of color, can dream big in STEM and see themselves having a future in STEM. So just like I was inspired by my father, I hope that girls all over the world are really inspired by me and by STEM from Dance.
To the Training Initiatives for Scientists in Public Engagement, or the TISPE dashboard. Our goal is to visualize the landscape of public engagement training. Our working definitions for public engagement is the intentional and meaningful interactions that provide opportunities for mutual learning between scientists and members of the public. And this is a definition from the AAAS. For training, we are looking at activities around developing competency, enhancing exposure, building knowledge base, and fostering professional development, among others. So these include courses, fellowships, internships, seminars, workshops, etc. The dashboard allows the user to visualize different characteristics of training initiatives. These include types, the domain they're in, the duration, funding, delivery, participants, competency, and others. Users have multiple entry points that they can use to engage with the information. Each graph is responsive and provides an access point, so you can click any part of the figure and be able to then visualize that information. The whole dashboard updates accordingly. Users can also export summary data from each graph. Select and combine segments from different graphs.
Our program,
get insights
we were
directly
assigned to
from
conduct a
stakeholders.
systematic quantitative literature review, or QLR for short.
And also add initiatives. Dashboard caters to a wide variety of stakeholders, including training leaders and developers, researchers in public engagement, university leadership, scientists, and others. we are continuously updating the dashboard. This project is made possible by the support from the Lasker Foundation and Research America. Get in touch if you have any questions.
This special highlight was brought to you by
SciComm is a communications company built for scientists, by me, a scientist. SciComm works directly with academic researchers, tech companies, nonprofits, and any scientist to create clear, engaging, scientifically accurate media. Whether you need a whiteboard video to teach your audience something new, an animated explainer video that breaks down your complex work into something that's easier to understand, visually compelling slides for an upcoming presentation, a blog article to inform your readers of the latest research in your field, or even just a simple illustration, SciComm is your communications partner. Simplify your science with SciComm.
Since 2016, the Society for Science's STEM Action Microgrant Program has funded over $1.1 million to grassroots organizations expanding STEM opportunities across diverse communities. Grantees tackle many challenges such as improving STEM literacy, promoting equity, and protecting the environment with tailored community strategies. Recipients include Science from Scientists, Full Steam Forward, Save the Harbor, Save the Bay, Ciencia Puerto Rico, and so many others. California leads with the most microgrant awards, and 2024 saw a record $320,000 distributed to 66 organizations across the U.S., with half being returning grantees. Explore our ongoing analysis by visiting our terminal.
Problem: you're doing cutting-edge research that the public doesn't understand. You're incredibly busy and outreach takes a lot of time. The solution: Galactic Polymath, an education studio that helps you connect to the most important audience for growing STEM literacy, K-12 classrooms. So, how do we connect your research to the classroom? At Galactic Polymath, we create beautiful visuals to communicate your science, design engaging lessons around your data,
analyze our data and find out for yourself,
align to teachers' standards and practices, help you complete outreach on a funded grant, and win grants by having stellar broader impacts, ultimately simplifying your outreach efforts. Hire us. Let's turn your research into lessons that inspire. Real research, real people, real data, real careers. Real learning. Find out more at galacticpolymath.com or email us at info@galacticpolymath.com.
Welcome to Maropeng, the cradle of humankind. This will not be a repeat of the last school trip. Aisha, where is Buchle?
I should get back to the tour. As soon as I find out what that is. I'm a woman of science. I don't believe in cave-dwelling monsters. I think...
Super scientist. Previously on Questions of the Day.
One of the projects that we're working on right now that we would like to put on SciKids Network is we're developing a game-based play for learning the rules of genetics. And so I think a lot of kids sort of approach genetics for the first time from the sort of Punnett Square, Mendel and his pea plants, and there's value in that. But I think one thing that I think is missing, learning genetics that way, is the idea of, usually in genetics, we look at offspring, we look at data, we look at a pattern, and then we sort of back figure what were the parents, what were their genes, based on what we're looking at right now generationally. And so I think that's an example of a difference between how we do science as scientists and the kind of exciting part versus the approach that's typically used in the classroom of, here is the answer, you will learn that piece of
Join
information.
Fanuel Mwindi on Questions of the Day every Wednesday at 2 p.m. right here on Civic Sci TV.
Hi, my name is Dia Dwarkanath, and I'm the host of The Perspective, a new program on the Civic Sci TV network. We add layers to the map of civic science that the network is building. In each segment, we bring in expert guests who are also civic science researchers or practitioners. We focus in on a particular issue, perhaps a recent finding related to it, and discuss how guests and/or their organizations are addressing it. From quantum outreach to equity in STEM, climate justice to quality psychology education, we dive into how scholars and practitioners are specifically engaging local communities in a two-way dialogue to solve these vast challenges. You'll take away actionable advice, key insights, what's next, and ideas on how to make science more civic. Watch the fun and inspiring perspectives of trailblazers on our program.
Hello, today we are joined by Melissa Mbogwa. She is an innovator, creative producer, entrepreneur, and is the co-founder of Africa Podfest and works at the Radio Workshop.
Okay, thank you. Thanks so much. My name is Melissa Mbogwa. I'm a Kenyan based in Nairobi with an eye to, I get very excited about doing, connecting people around the world, in Africa and around the world. And so Africa Podfest is a platform that was started about 5 years ago to connect African podcasters as well as Africans in the diaspora and the people the stakeholders who are interested in the future of audio. And the idea behind it was connect people so that we can collectively learn, we can collectively share resources, and that we can collectively build out the foundations of what will become an inclusive audio industry on the continent. So my background is in the tech world, and so I worked a lot in the technology innovation space, supporting entrepreneurs, managing funds for specifically civic technology startups, but I've always had a keen interest in the arts, I was very curious about media and where media would go in this future digital world. And I'm, like many Africans, I guess, I've grown up loving radio and, with radio being a part of daily life. But I also noticed that the older I was getting, the less and less mainstream radio was serving my needs. I just wasn't hearing what I wanted to hear on radio. But I was seeing content online, like on social media and blogs, that I was interested in. So, for example, just stuff about African history, or just hearing perspectives from across the continent, from people who are also young, and people like me, or even who are not like me but who have something to say. And so the more I sort of thought about that, and the more I started to ask people about it, it just snowballed. The curiosity snowballed such that I then carried out this survey in 2017. I did this survey, just, a very informal kind of I did it, on the side in my after hours. I did this survey of just to look for any Kenyan who had a podcast at the time. And I got 6 or 7 responses. And these were the early podcasters. So asked them a few questions around like their process and what advantages and disadvantages there are that they were facing. Asked them about their audiences. Asked them why they were doing this. And the responses were so interesting that I ended up hosting a meetup, a very kind of informal, semi-formal meetup over lunch, and it, that's what validated for me that, oh, there's something here. This potential. Engaged their results, the results they were seeing from their work convinced me that there was a future in podcasting, and that we just needed to plug the gaps. And the gaps were, of course, a network to collaborate, access to resources, and more kind of knowledge and training opportunities to build on their skills and so on. And so that's what seeded the idea for Africa Podfest. Something else that happened, actually, so I published the findings on my blog, and the reach of that article went further than, it blew up in a way that I just didn't imagine. So I ended up fielding like media interviews from like Johannesburg, so many places around the world. And I realized, so it's not just a Kenya thing. This is an Africa-wide, phenomenon that's bubbling under, and it's still in its very early days. And so I, kind of put the idea together and pitched it to a couple of my friends. They thought it was interesting as well because they also had media backgrounds. And so we started Africa Podfest.
Almuerzo.
If you will indulge me, I am just obsessed with them lately, and happy to talk a little bit more about the hows and the whys after. These are all bespoke data sonification, so it's not like just running data through a single piece of software and like a factory kind of popping out results. They're bespoke in the sense that each data set has a different science story, and each data set has a very unique set of data, the way they look, the way they are. And so each one we've been finding really has its own story that needs to be told in its own way. And so I think what's interesting as you're listening through these examples, you'll hear very different examples of sound. So this next piece was one of the first ones that we ever did. It's probably still to this day one of my favorites because I actually worked on this image, putting it together, I want to say back in 2008, 2009. And then when I, heard it back in 2020, it just made the data new and exciting, for me all over again. So right now we're going to listen to the Galactic Center. So see, no more exploded stars, like I promised. We're going to move away. All right, there might be a few exploded stars in here, but they're tiny little blips, so I will not talk about them. Mostly we're going to be listening to all of this sort of downtown area around the galactic center of our Milky Way galaxy. We're going to be exploring this inner 400 light year span as we get closer to the area on the right where Sagittarius A star, the supermassive black hole, actually resides. You'll hear crescendo as all of that high energy data really sort of starts popping. So there are three different layers of information in this sonification and in this image. We've got the lowest energy material from the Spitzer Space Telescope. We've got the sort of mid-range energy from the Hubble Space Telescope. That's in the yellows, the Spitzer's in the red. And then the blues and the purples are the highest energy material from Chandra. And so the sounds are sort of similarly interspersed. The lowest energy material from Spitzer is the piano. The sort of medium energy material from Hubble is this like plucky violin sound. And then the highest energy from the X-ray telescope is like a glockenspiel type of sound. And so just, be on the lookout or the listen out for that supermassive black hole. Here we go. About that sonification is that this is a very rich data set. As you can tell from the visual, it is very dense. There is a lot going on. That beautiful filamentary structure from Hubble, that sort of, cloudy, gassy, red material that you're seeing from Spitzer, and then all of those tiny sources from Hubble, as well as some of the diffuse X-ray emission that you're seeing as that sort of nebulous, bluish, purplish kind of material. It's a lot to look at and it's a lot to listen to. But when you listen to it, the interplay of the three different instruments is, I think, pretty evident in certain locations. You can really hear how the material through sound is complementing each other.
Welcome to Questions of the Day. I'm your host, Fanuel Mwindi. So in this show, we cover current affairs in civic science around the world. And we try to do this from multiple vantage points, utilizing special correspondents, bringing in various stakeholders from around the world, from researchers to practitioners, to those who are making decisions around funding and so forth, to ask them fundamental questions around developments in civic science. And so you may be wondering, what is civic science? Well, at the core of civic science is the public engagement around science. So the what, the who, the where, the when, the how. These are questions in our show we explore in great detail. For example, whether it's a research article that has come out, looking at science museums and their impact around the world, well, we are talking to those researchers and asking them questions around what they found, how they found it, and what it means for those who are involved in those activities. And I can keep on going, but that's really at the core of our show, and really the rest of the network that we have been building here. We try to unearth these stories of the practitioners, their personal stories. We look at the latest developments, and all we want to do is bring those insights to you. And we believe that this information is for the public good. And so whether it's those stakeholders who are involved in the space, we think that this information is useful, but we think also it's useful for the broader public.